please stay on. All right. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. What's today? Today's St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2023. This is MVP Office Hours, and we're really glad you're here. I'm going to run through our intro real quick, and then we'll get to the questions that are already popping up in the chat. I'm so excited to see everybody today. As you can see on the slide, we've got office hours on the first and the third Friday. Dale, who is not able to join us today, is online and will be available to you via LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, Squire's on Twitter, MVP Office Hours is on Twitter. And then we have our mvpofficehoursus@gmail.com email address. However, the best place to post questions when you're not here with us right now is in the success community. And we'll pop that link into the chat at some point today. But this way you have a plethora of experts that are excited to answer your questions, as opposed to just sending an email to Squire, Dale, and I, which we don't check frequently.
Oh.
You can crowdsource a lot better in the community. So let's jump to the next slide, Squire. We have a lot of people. We have 13 people today. Our next call is going to be April 21st. We are going to be missing the first week of April, and we're going to go with the third week of April. We've got stuff going on. What's going on? It's Good Friday.
Yeah.
And there's and then we have some other scheduling conflicts. So we're not going to be meeting the first week of April, but we will meet the third week of April. So continue to put those questions in the success community, please. This is an open Q&A, and so we ask that everybody is, well, everyone participate, share your experience and any insights and your recommendations with the group. Your nuggets of wisdom could be someone's answer. So feel free to share. If you have a question, please post it in the chat or raise your hand if we've got some quiet time. We do recommend sharing your screen, but please. That's not enumerated. I just keep saying it. Do not share production data. Do not share your company's data. We are recording this. Will be posted on YouTube. There is no privacy here. We love you, but protect yourself and your job. And as we say, have fun, be informal, but keep professional. And we can't really give Dale a hard time because he's not here. Yeah, we've got upcoming Dreaming events. We just finished TDX for any of you that was there. If I didn't see you, I'm sorry I missed you. If I saw you, thank you, Kathy, for my Cody slippers that the dog has not eaten yet. So he has only picked up once that I know of, but I haven't been home for the last week. Upcoming Dreaming events, we've got Kiwi Dreaming, which I won't be able to make, or Dream-O-Lay. Darn, I'm gonna miss that one too. I would really love to go to those. Albania Dreaming and SenCal Dreaming and Texas Dreaming are all coming up before summer starts. And then of course the big event, Dreamforce, is in September. There's a link to the calendar somewhere. We don't have a link to the calendar in there. But if you go to Trailhead events, it's super easy to get to. Stuart, why are you shaking your head? I mean, that's rude. Knock it off. But I do enjoy seeing your smiling face. If you're not part of a community group, please find your local community group and join one. And if you don't want to join a local one, you can join up with mine or Squire's or Dale's or gosh, any number of the community group leaders that are on the call. Because Christy, you're a group leader, yes, and Stuart, you're a group leader, and Kathy, you're a group leader, and Melissa, you're a group leader.
More leaders than not, yeah.
Yeah, and I know Chicago we're still virtual because the COVID restrictions are weird and they just keep changing and it's a thing. But we're going to get back to it soon. But if you're not part of a group, join a group so that when people start meeting in person again, or maybe locally, you get to see these people. I'm also going to put in a plug real quick, like Witness Success and Midwest Dreaming is coming up in August, but that's like way past May. So we'll get there. All right. Stuart.
So before we jump to Stu, just really quick, Adriana asked a question at the start of the call about maintenance exams. Go to Trailhead. Click your verify your certifications. It'll tell you everything that you need to have done in time for your specific cert. Things are always in flight, and I'd hate for us to suggest something that isn't true. If you need help with that, let us know.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Adriana? I hope so. You're muted, so I can't hear your response, but
Yes, it makes sense. And I just put the link that I found in order to verify what it was.
okay. Well, you can
I
verify.
couldn't
the
find it before
verification.
this call, but now I found it. So thank you.
You know what? Sometimes it just takes someone's little nudge to get you in the right direction. It's the craziest thing. I'll be like Googling and Googling. I'm like, why can't I find this? And someone like throws like a word at me and I'm like, oh, there it is. Happens to me all the time.
And if you go to your own profile, it'll also show you what you're behind to. You don't even have to do the hard way. So both end up with the same detail, Adriana, so both will work.
Well, it said it was active, but it didn't say, like, I thought I got an email that said something of, not specific to me, but it was just saying certifications or exams, something April 7th. And I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
thought I was active, but I didn't know if there was anything pending. So this link helped. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
recall that happening.
Yeah, it usually goes out about a month after a release, and because you need to be caught up within the last 3 all the time is the notification you're getting. So if you're caught up to winter, or sorry, to spring, then you're good. So
Yeah, I'm not sure that's dynamic enough to like exclude those of us who have actually gotten up to date. I think it just tells everybody.
yeah, I think you're right.
Which is wildly concerning sometimes. All right, so what else do we have? We have
We've got-
Stuart. We got Stuart. Stuart.
So this one I asked a long time ago, and then I had to wait. So, like most things where I have to wait, I don't know if anyone can actually hear me or anything, because I'm in a different place and I have on different headphones and everything. So I could be just talking to the wind.
No, we got you. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
I had a business case where we want to have a chat bot do a survey at the end of the call, but we want it to all be kind of automatic, where at the end of the chat. At the end of the chat ends, and then there's a ending bot that handles it, and then the ending bot will ask a question of, do you want to take a survey? And if yes, then it goes to the survey bot, and then the survey bot does the survey, and then it ends. What we don't want is for the agent to ask the question of, do you want to take a survey? Because the agent is just going to always ask their friends to take the survey, because then you get all 10s and never
Only
get
gonna
the
ask the
zeros.
friendlies. Is that what you're saying? They're only gonna ask the
And-
friendlies.
And I don't want to ask the customer to take the survey, because then you might get all zeros, because I hate you. I'm gonna tell you I hate you. And I don't want it to. They don't want it to go to everybody, because they don't want that many surveys to go out, and they don't want it to be a random Robin
Round
Robin.
what Robin head Robin. I don't know how Robin got mixed up. Who's this Robin? Why Robin? Like, why not Judy? I don't get it. Judy head. Anyway. So I got caught in a flight in Green Bay, and I had to call Delta via chat, because they don't have a telephone number, so you have to chat with them. And at the end of the chat with Delta, this nice lady named Angela helped me, and then she said, "Would you like to take a survey?" I'm like, "Heck yes, I want to take a survey." And guess what? It's a survey bot. And so I had to go through the survey bot, and I was like, this is exactly what I want. How do you do it in Salesforce? And so my question is, has anybody done, is there like a survey bot expert in the MVP office hours, or anyone that you know, or that your friend knows, or like multi-marketing scheme that somebody's friend knows? I think I found the answer, that the answer is in here. It's in there is a developer manual for Einstein bots, and it's the Einstein bot cookbook. And if you read through this entire thing, and you can create your own dev org and build your own bots, and then learn how it works. The thing is, you can't guess what the user wants to do. You actually have to ask the user what they want to do, and then have them click a button to tell them to tell the bot what to do next. And bots are not yet mind readers and omnipotent beings, although we would like them to be. But we are getting there.
Can you, I know nothing about this to preface my response here. I'm wondering if you had different case types, if they would get different survey starting points, or if there was some kind of indicator like that your agents were like, this call went well, this call was, oh boy. So that at least like you could say, oh, you've been selected for this survey.
Well,
Would you like to take the survey?
Yeah, that's a good question. And then do that like round robin, round Judy.
So the other thing that I was going to mention is I listened to David Giller talk about like the Chat GPT stuff, about like just how to like flex this so that you can learn about stuff yourself. And I was like, all right, so learning Chat GPT so I can learn another topic kind of blows my mind a little bit. But he had some good thoughts about it, and I wonder if David might be someone to poke at on the AI, because he's really into it.
There are a lot of things about chatbot surveys that ultimately come down to you can't stop stupid. I'm sorry if that offends somebody, but so the question came up of, can you ask at the beginning of a survey before you even get to an agent, would you mind taking a survey at the end of this chat? Yes, you can ask that. You can have a bot that shows up at the very beginning saying, hi, I'm bot. I'm just
Sure.
Stu bot. Would you mind taking a survey? And you could click on say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it can hold that in a variable. It can hold that yes in a variable for the whole chat. And then at the end of the chat, when the chat's done, now, how do you know that the chat is done? That's an interesting question. Because there's nothing that either the agent or the customer or anybody can do to like, have I answered all your questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, no, I mean, what is the actual ending of the chat?
I've had a lot of chat experiences where there's an actual like closing of the conversation.
Okay, and you could force a button inside of the chat that says, I'm done. And
Or,
then that would
have I answered all of your questions today? Like,
and then a yes button, and that the yes button shows up, you hit the yes, and then it will transfer you to the survey bot. If that variable said yes, transfer you to survey bot.
right.
Now, everything doesn't matter because there are ejector seat buttons on every chat window. And at the top, there is a X button on the window and an end chat button, red end chat button, that any user can press on the agent side or on the customer side. And if they press those buttons,
No survey.
no survey bot is going to know what to do with that, and you are going to get kicked out. Or you could just close out your browser and get kicked out, and you'll never get to the survey.
Right.
Why not just redirect to a non-bot survey? You get better returns that way. Like Salesforce survey or something.
Just have them email you a survey.
Yeah, and you could say, hey, we'd like to send you a link to a SurveyMonkey survey. Would you like to do that? That could be the last question, and then let that handle your survey questions. Then they can't bail. There's no guarantee they're going to respond whether it's in chat or not, right?
Yeah, you have no control over that interface.
Well,
at that point.
that's another option, Squire, is like you do that chat bot entry and then you give them the link to the survey there.
Yeah.
Even.
All sorts of ideas.
Yeah, I feel like
I've taken a lot of surveys.
unless it's just like one or two questions, I think keeping it in the survey bot would be a really good way to let people just skip it or cancel out. You'd never get the results you want.
The survey or the chat API, does let you, if you're willing to and have the money and the time, create your own chat interface. So you could just bypass all the chat window stuff. Build your own window, build your own interface. It doesn't even have to be a window. It could be a watch. It could be a watch interface, a headless API. And so you could build chat right here. And then the survey bot could just talk to you through the watch. Maybe we'll do it that way. I like that idea. Thank you, Squire.
Hey, Stuart, Melissa said that she's got some
I know.
folks. Okay. All right.
I also see that Thomas says, let's switch topics. This one's
No,
boring.
no. Todd had a question too. Did we get Todd's question handled?
No, we gotta go Todd and Rochelle yet.
All right.
All right.
So
Move on. This is
Stu, I think you
obviously
stumbled
getting
out of-
boring for the rest of
It's
the
not
team.
boring. I just don't think any of us have the expertise you're looking for. And I'm really sad.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Todd, what do you got?
Sorry, Stu, you stumped us.
Again,
So I received an email 2 days ago from Salesforce telling me that I have something calling an API version that's going to be deprecated and no longer supported in summer of 23. I thought I'd clean this up, but apparently not. So I've been running, I'm sorry, I just lost the name of it. I've been running one of the utilities to get a log every day, and I finally got a hit. But I don't know what to do with this information now to find out what's calling an API version 30. Has anyone dealt with this? All I have is an API resource, and an organization, which is mine. I've got a user ID. I know it was one of our sales reps. I know it's a REST API, and it gave me a part of a URL on where it's going, but
But
I
you don't know
to
what
do.
application it is?
Correct. All it says is v30.0/connect/communities. We don't have any communities that I'm aware of.
Are they somehow hooked into like the Trailblazer community or something? Or like something like very bizarro? How does it get that old? I thought everything, all the apps had to be.
Oh no, I've got apps from
I
the
mean, I
Mark-
believe you.
Yeah, I've got stuff that's running 31 and up. In
Yeah.
fact, Pardot is still running. Excuse me, that would be account engagement now is still running APIs in the 30s. So I just
So-
didn't know if anybody knew what I needed to do to identify what this is, other than opening a ticket with Salesforce.
well, I mean, the first item is to just go through your class library to make sure all your APIs there are good. Because if it's making a call out, it's likely a webhook or like a web call out from Apex.
Yeah, I've gone through all that. There's nothing in there.
Okay.
Do you have CRMA by any chance?
I've never heard of that, so probably not.
The
the analytics tool.
yeah, the event monitoring, the API event monitoring tool, which is audit logging. We'll show it to you.
Yeah, I don't think we
Um,
subscribe to that.
So
And I think you have to have Shield event logs to even see it
I
at that level. don't you?
Definitely no, we don't have that.
there's another way. There's another way to get to it. Hold on, let me look. Do.
Get back so I can tell you what tool I was running. No, not that one. Event. Ugh. The event log file browser for Salesforce. That's
Yep.
what I ran.
Yeah, it's gonna give you some, but probably not what you want. Let's see here.
I'm going to post into chat. That's what I get for the API resource that was called.
So you have the user, right?
I do.
I'm trying to picture if there's something in the log history or the OAuth history or in the connected app history that might be able to sneak up on what's making that call.
That's where I would start some of my detective work,
Okay.
is on the user and all of their things. Pesky users.
Here. You don't happen to have the, like you said, you got it in email form, right?
No, I've got this in an Excel spreadsheet, what I dumped out of the log.
No, the notification. That's what I
Yeah.
think the person asking.
Yes, I got it. I got that in an email and they don't tell me anything except I have something calling something that's old.
And
Please
it's
fix
from,
it.
it's from like no reply Salesforce.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
like, you're
let's see.
detecting this. Tell me what it is, please.
Mm,
And you know, we got that same message saying that you're running something below API version 30.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a scan and we can't find it. The lowest that we're running is 32. And it's from an old version of data loader that someone in the office has not upgraded their data loader from version 32.
I sincerely hope my sales rep is not running data loader.
So I'm wondering how Salesforce sent out those messages, because I also got that and I have yet to find out something that's using an API endpoint that is older than 30.
Well, that's why I started. So because we don't license anything to actually
I
do a whole
wonder
lot
if
of
you should-
investigating, I run this every day because it's a 24-hour retention on these logs in our org.
Todd, I think I would encourage you to turn that around into a case and be like, hey,
Okay.
can someone help me figure this out? I mean, it might not be helpful, but at least
Okay.
you tried.
All right. Then I can bring it back here and share with Stu and everyone else.
We like the answers.
Hey,
Yeah.
Todd, you said that you didn't have any active communities. Do you have any communities that are inactive? Because before I got here, I had someone creating a lot of stuff. Like it looked like they were trying things out. And so I ended up with a number of communities that, you know, by the time I got here were no longer used.
Or is it perhaps something that was abandoned in a sandbox? I don't know.
It's coming out of my production org because the org ID is
Oh, good.
from
Okay.
production. Okay. There used to be a community for a signature app we used, but I don't think that's active anymore. I'll go look at that one. Contact that vendor.
Todd, did you happen to see that developer guide article on that URL that endpoint resource?
That you posted?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot there to start, but it
Nope.
gives you an opportunity to start to drill into the response body and maybe be back into it somehow.
Okay. I've just copied that link into my notepad so I don't lose it.
I mean, it's directly tied to that Connect Communities resource address, and it tries to get a list of Experience Cloud sites is what it's referencing. So it makes me think that it's actually some sort of authentication flow that's trying to determine all of your communities,
Gotcha. Okay.
even if you don't have any, but I don't know why it would trigger. So there's a little bit more research there.
Okay.
I do think Joy's on something though, like this is definitely something that support should be able to say, we told you about this, here's what it means.
I mean, shouldn't they have like an activity posted that an email was sent to their customer? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
That wasn't captured by EAC. Oh.
you know, all of that, right?
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
Todd. So we've got you on the right track, and then we've got Rochelle,
Thank you.
right? Rochelle, what do you got for us?
Hi guys, thanks for taking my question. I've been working on getting we are going to be using Salesforce meetings in our org. Right now we actually have never had salespeople schedule meetings or events in Salesforce. So I basically have been testing the product and that kind of thing. And then today I went out in Salesforce to just double check to make sure all my configurations and everything I did was correct. And it said, oh, for Salesforce meetings, click on the search box, do this, do that. And I'm like, I don't see that. I don't have that. And I think that after doing some investigation, it looks like we're on Enterprise Edition and Salesforce Meetings is not offered as a permission set or an app on Enterprise. So I'm thinking I've kind of answered my own question here, but does anybody have any experience with Salesforce Meetings and do I need it?
I've not used that product in the past, but I have worked with companies that have used a like scheduling tool, and then what did they use? What do they use? I mean, there's all sorts of different scheduling tools out there.
Calendly.
That one, I use that one now. That's funny.
I thought the scheduling tool was part of Salesforce Inbox. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think it's part of engagement, sales engagement. You can offer up 3 like appointment times. Is that what you're talking about? That is through sales engagement, which is the old high velocity sales.
Okay.
And I'm on unlimited, so I get it for free. But I think if you're not on unlimited, you do have to pay for it.
Yeah, Rochelle, that might be worth a conversation with your AE. Just know that the second you open that door, they're going to start selling you hard on the product. And possibly the upgrade so that you can use the product if it's not available for the layer you're at now. So
yeah, that's as a new administrator at a very small company, that's one thing that really kind of surprises me is how eager Salesforce is wanting to sell you stuff. And that's why I'm kind of, I'm a little hesitant to even go there because every time I contact my account executive, it seems like I need to buy something more. We did actually purchase Inbox under some false pretenses. I was looking for a way that we can save attachments using Einstein Activity Capture because we were working on it and the group seems to really like it, but they noticed that the attachments get stripped from the emails. And long story short, our account manager said, yeah, you need Inbox. Well, after we got it, trained and put it into the system and did everything, it doesn't save attachments. You still need to go into the attachment and save them as files into Salesforce, each one separately. So there was really no rhyme or reason to keep Inbox other than paying the $10 a user per month. You see, it's always funny because it's always that little, it's only $10, only $20 per month, but we're a small company and that kind of adds up. So I'm really kind of always, if I put something and I deploy it, I really want it to mean something. I want it to be something that people say, wow, I could never live without this. So long story short, I was just really curious about this Salesforce meetings. Right now, even though I'm doing the tests, I actually moved it into production. I'm doing the tests on my own and not having sales yet introduced to it. I've been finding the meetings work fine. I didn't know if I needed it or not.
So Squire's pulled up the review the sync requirements and features for Salesforce meetings.
Okay.
Squire, you'll drop that in the chat also.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And it's got all the kind of the pros and cons of all the different categories of things that you might be interested in looking at. And I think it says required edition is Lightning and Sales Cloud with performance and unlimited editions. So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the close of this whole conversation really, and I think most people in the call already shut it out, that there's a lot of really good tools in the infrastructure to do both email syncing and meeting scheduling, and most of them aren't Salesforce native. So don't feel like the AE is going to box you in. Do some comparison shopping. There's a lot of really good tools out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the article that I put in chat is the full Salesforce meetings like documentation, and it covers all the Actually, I have too many windows open, so I can't even see what I'm talking about. It covers all of the setup and the considerations and, you know, everything you need to know about what it all represents. And I would assume there's a price tag somewhere buried in all this. So definitely do your due diligence there.
Okay. One of the things that, if I can, our organization is on Salesforce Enterprise. And what's odd about it is half of the license are for Sales Cloud, half of them are for service. Does anybody know what the difference really is between those license descriptions?
Sure.
Go
Also-
Squire, go Squire.
So the short answer is that we don't have enough time in this meeting to explain all of it, but it's
Okay.
well documented. Let me see if we can find a link. Stu, you probably have this memorized. Do you want to ramble it off? But what it comes down to is the license itself identifies the key features to the cloud that are aligned with that license. So for example, you get leads in Sales Cloud, but you get knowledge in Service Cloud, that sort of thing. You don't get both, but it's fully documented. You can get to that link first.
Yeah, there's some capabilities, excuse my coughing, some capabilities and some features and some objects that you have access to on the service side that you do not have on the sales side, and vice versa. And there is, as Squire mentioned, a long list of those licensed features, capabilities, and objects that come packaged with Service Cloud. Not to say that you could not build them or obtain them yourself, but they come all together and they talk to each other as part of that Service Cloud license.
And isn't Service Cloud basically geared more towards people who are managing cases and using omnichannel, right?
Cases, omni-channel, knowledge.
Yeah.
Content.
I would make you rephrase that to say that those licenses give you the tools for the people who need them, not targeted toward a user who might want them. You know, it's the same thing. It's just that keeping in mind, like if you start at the baseline, you could just buy platform licenses and build everything. But why would you do that? Then you buy a Service Cloud license because you get all the cool service functionality, but because you need them, not the other way around, right?
Right.
I put a link into the user license documentation there at the last link. That should cover, I think, everything you need to know. It's not a light read, but it's all there.
I appreciate that. I think our organization, basically when they signed up for Salesforce 11 years ago, they got half Sales Cloud, half Service Cloud. We don't have a service. We don't do anything with field services or any sort of service. And I'm not really quite sure why they did it this way. So I was just curious.
Our organization didn't have a service either when we started, but we had HR. And HR wanted to be able to follow the onboarding of our employees. And the best way to onboard our employees was to use cases and to use email to case, web to case, that stuff to get in information for our employees and to track that in Salesforce. It's better than opportunities. It's better than just tasks and activities. So that's Service Cloud.
Yeah, I had worked at a company that had field service, and we were tremendously invested in Service Max and all the different knowledge and everything that comes here. We don't have any of those things. I was really surprised that we actually have Service Cloud licenses. I mean, I'm just kind of like, why? But thank you. I will go ahead and do some good reading. I appreciate you guys. Every month I look forward to your call.
There's one more thing I'm going to tell you, Rochelle. Like, if your users that have the service licenses aren't using the features of the service licenses and need the features of the sales license, you should be able to swap those out. However, that's going to open a whole can of worms with your AE, and you should be able to swap them out, you know, and balance as long as you balance the spend, like the spend doesn't go down, they're usually
Who cares? Create chaos for your AE. That's what I say. Make their lives hard.
it's funny is I have a brand new, spanking new account manager who's, you know, probably straight out of college. He's very nice, but I think I'm going to be driving him crazy a little
I was
bit.
gonna say,
so-
he hates us already.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. But like, you know, I mean, I just need to make sure that I'm completely understanding how this org was really set up
Sure.
back 100 years ago. So anyways, I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
For sure. All right, Thomas, we've got some time for you, and then Melissa, if we've got time, we'll circle back, okay? Thomas, are you here, Thomas? There you are.
Hi, and I do have to, but I'm seeing more and more flows being created in our various orgs. One I'm primarily the newest one, and I'm starting to worry that we, could eventually hit limits. Maybe I'm worrying about nothing, but I'm familiar with different kind of frameworks.
Thomas, we're losing you. I'm not sure if your microphone is blocked, but we don't have a good video of you and we're not hearing you very well.
I don't have to do it on, but my mic's bouncing green. You guys don't hear me? Not any good?
It's still pretty quiet. If you just do the best you can with what you got. So keep going.
So I talked a little louder. So I'm just wondering if you guys have any links or advice on how to have flows built. I'm worried that, there could be 5 different flows that end up getting built on the same object. And how that can start to be problematic from DML limitations or anything, from record locking and so forth.
Sure. So what I'm hearing is that you're concerned about the creation of flows and having multiple flows on the same object. I think one of the best ways that you can dig into this topic and really like start wrapping your head around what's going on. Someone help me out. It's like the automation hour. And they're usually like right after us on Fridays. But if anyone has the link to that, we can grab that and drop it in the chat. That's going to help you become more familiar with what's going on in that space, as opposed to like all of us like giving you like some random advice here and there. There is a lot to learn in the flow space, especially if you have been maybe hiding out in Classic, where I wish I had been, but now I have to learn flow. If it makes you feel any better, like I've put off learning flow for a very long time, and I'm in the same boat, but I do have the advantage of having an architect and other developers and admins on staff that have become friends with flow. I also have Christy on speed dial. Did Christy
I
leave?
did code review, so that's where I just want to make sure that I'm catching things. Like I caught 2 DMLs within the same flow the other day, but I'm worried more as flows keep getting built. How do you drill into 100 flows to go? Does this flow have already something in it that's going to update to a case? How do you drill in deep like that? As time goes on, it's going to be a little challenging to have a memory for that kind of thing. But
Indeed, the description field is what a lot of people would say.
Structure would you guys recommend? Is there any links you can provide that have good write-up on said structure, is the same as your trigger framework that are out there? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, there's some, we've got some links coming in. We'll drop some in, and I think, Squire, did you drop some notes in there? And we'll make sure we post these in the deck. But Thomas, you should be able to grab them from the chat.
I'm doing it. Yeah, thank you.
And I
You
see
bet.
Stu's leaning in real hard. I think he's got some feedback here.
Come on, Stu.
yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you will find a lot of debate between whether you should only do 1 flow per object or multiple flows per object, and I'm not gonna pick sides. What I am gonna say is that you have a difficult situation because you're walking into a landmine. First of all, you need to make sure that, and you need help with this, that whatever those flows are doing, you need to document at a high level what is the goal of those flows. and you'll probably in the document that Will sent, it's probably already explained in there, of understanding for each flow, there's a reason why it was built. And what is that reason? And if you have like 100 different flows out there, make sure that 99 of them aren't built for the same reason. And if the inputs and outputs of each flow is documented somewhere, and the reason why it exists and all of the objects that it's being touched is documented somewhere, and you have a governance team that can look through them and say, here's why they exist. And whether it's a flow or a set of triggers or process builders or workflows or whatever, this should be happening, whether it's visual code or real code in your organization. This is just coming down to basic architectural principles.
Agreed. I think also to add to that, part of that documentation is also leveraging things like the Flow Trigger Explorer to try to understand how many things really are interacting with objects and trying to understand that. Documentation also suggests the opportunity to refactor or characterize these things to make sure they're only triggering with entry criteria that are supposed to occur. I feel like, and Stuart, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think a lot of times flows don't get treated like a trigger from the perspective of governance, and they should be. They're just built declaratively. You still want to handle them the same way. Understand the context, make sure they're not firing for no reason, make sure they're not repetitive or reciprocating to each other. I mean, that's true no matter whether it's programmatic or declarative, right?
Yeah, because Salesforce in itself is a trigger-based system. You are doing something, and that is going to have a reaction on something else. It's going to have a reaction on something else. So even though you're building a visual flow, behind the scenes, it's building code and it's writing out code to Salesforce. There's just no getting around it.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm on this call asking this question, because I just want to get ahead of the curve with the flow.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I got the links, and I'll start reading them, see what help I can get from them. And then you said there's another a similar meeting. What is it, monthly or something?
Yeah, automation hour. I don't know what their cadence is, but it's usually on Friday afternoons. But it's automation hour, and there's a link in the chat that I think.
Yeah. I think they're going weekly this year. They're doing a boot camp. They're starting out at the basics of what is flow, what are the elements of flow. And as the weeks go on in 2023, they're getting more and more advanced, and they will get to those questions of what are the strategies? How should I be building? How should I be designing flows for my enterprise organization?
And
if companies blocking that.
Right, and I believe they've recorded their sessions on YouTube also.
Yeah.
And so the resources aren't just limited to what they're delivering during their session. It's their whole catalog of specific stuff. So I actually should do the same thing that I'm sending you off to do, but
I'm actually participating in that, and it's been really great so far. I mean, this past week, last week, we got into, we're only at like identifying what the things on the left-hand side of the flow window, I'm speaking in very technical terms, what all that means. So we're not that far into the boot camp, so you could join and still get a lot of benefit from it.
Yeah, my company is blocking that automation hour. Blocking.
Well, I think your company's wrong, and you should get your personal laptop out and log into it, because it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah.
I got the link captured, and I will, when I log off work, I will definitely really check it.
yeah, I think a search Salesforce automation hour will get you where you need also.
Thank you.
And if they want to talk to me about how wrong they are, you can give them my name. I'd be happy to have that conversation.
You can give him my name, but I'll just connect him to Squire. So
there's also a Trailblazer community for the automation hour that
Good
you
call.
could sign up for.
Good call.
Oh,
There's
good call,
there's a
Katie.
community.
Yeah, Thomas, did you hear that? There's a success community on Trailhead.
I'll check that.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Kate.
And because I'm in this meeting, will I get these? You'll send an email with this PowerPoint you're creating right here right now?
So we post the recording to YouTube. And
Okay.
I forget what Squire and Dale do with the deck. Do you guys post it?
It gets posted. They're pretty hard to find. I mean, honestly, I don't think we should do it anymore because there's no, well, we need them linked to the YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it's like, go to YouTube and go to Success and try to find the one. It's not, I don't think it's a good use case. We should think of something new. So
All right, well, and I guess I have something to think about.
maybe we just do the
Cool,
time.
cool.
We just
Cool,
post
cool.
all the content in the body of the law.
And the timestamps, yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it. But anyway, yeah.
And
Right.
Will, thank you for that mention about Tom Hoffman's video. Yes, that is the video that I mentioned, that I'm not going to take sides because Tom Hoffman is my dear, dear friend. And even though I disagree a lot with what Tom Hoffman says, I still love him, Will. But yes, that is the video, Will. So.
All right. Melissa. Thank you, Thomas. We're glad to have you today.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Melissa, talk to us about your challenges, darling. Melissa, are you still cozied up on in your recliner?
I think she said she was gonna have to drop in the chat.
But she's still on. Oh, Melissa. Oh, her mic isn't working. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about Melissa instead. Melissa's boss told her that she spends her Fridays in the recliner. And so Melissa's giving it a try today. And she's got her feet up in the recliner and she's all cozied up in her like a blankie. And she was so cute when I saw her earlier today. But Melissa's question, if I like scroll back on the chat, 100% sales. Oh, that's the other question. Back it up. Oh, Melissa. Melissa needs to use a lookup to user, preferably showing name on a screen flow. The flow starts on a different object, service territories, maybe. She's using flow to deactivate service territory members and add new members. The lookup to user is the issue, and she's not able to get it to work. I won't see the name or even an ID. Is there a way to do this without using a formula field on the user object? Any other ideas? And I'm going to repost this in the chat so you guys can read what Melissa had written to us. I am not the expert in this little corner of the world.
The joys of system versus non-system object interactions. It's one of my favorite things.
Squire's ready to take a stab at it.
Yeah. So I'm unfortunately I'm going to say I need her here to answer some questions. So,
Hey, Melissa, drop and come back.
I think the short answer is that it's not a surprise that you can't start from a non-system object and query to the system object to get that value. It could be because the user doesn't have access to user in general, like that object, but sometimes it's just you can't jump that invisible wall between the system and non-system with flow.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there she is.
Man, okay, I've got 5 minutes. I have
Cool.
to run to my rental, which is like 2 minutes down the road. So go ahead. What was your question for me?
So again, you're triggering on an object, but you need to go look at a user to get that
Yes.
user ID, and then you're going to come back and do some interaction on territory or something along that line.
Yes, and the people that are going to be looking at the user do have access. It's the
Well-
managers, so we do have access to the user object. So they
Well,
will be able to see the user ID and name, I guess.
Be careful with that though. So just because you can see user doesn't mean you see the user detail. So like you can see user because you can
Yeah.
see the owner or you can assign ownership, but sometimes you can't see the content below.
Yes,
Now-
I believe they do have all of that.
Okay, interesting. So when your flow runs, you're running in context of system or user or do you know? matter.
System?
Okay, and then but when you make a call to get a user by name or I mean, like, how do you know which one you're getting?
I wish I could show this to you. It's looking up a branch, which is a service territory. And then it's showing a data table, which is fun. I haven't used that
Yeah.
before. Showing a data table that shows all of the service territory members.
Okay.
There will be a place to deactivate the service territory members, which just puts the end date in for them. And then there will be an add user option. The add user option is when I need that ID. And so I've got the Get Records bringing in IDs for that branch because there's also a branch on the user object.
Yep.
I don't know if I've answered what you asked.
No, that's okay. So there's another piece of this, which again, I wish we had time and screen show. So if I'm not mistaken, the territory members are linking to user, but they're not actually the user ID. I'm wondering if you're actually getting the user ID at the right layer. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? Like, it looks like you're grabbing a user ID, which would be 005, but you're actually getting like a 017 response, and that's why it's failing on the second get, something like that. Stu, you're leaning in.
Yeah, it's like a territory assignment ID, but it's not the actual user ID. It's the same thing that happens with
resource.
Permissions to permission set, assignment to users. It's like a 4 jump. You can't necessarily get there from here to there.
Right.
The service territory uses service resource, and the service resource has a resource ID that looks at the user. But I'm actually looking not there when I go to add users. I'm actually looking at the user object when I'm pulling that in. Am I doing that wrong?
Well,
I don't know. Is there direct correlation there between the IDs?
right.
Probably not.
And I think if you look in debug, you should be able to see what you're trying to get and compare to what it's returning. Are you seeing that?
Well, I can see that. Well, I don't know. I don't remember what it showed when I did that. It's not even bringing up anything. Like I can't pull up anything for the user. But when I look at the Get Records, I can see a lot of fields, but I'm not seeing an ID or name.
Yeah, and I think what Stu and I are both shooting for, and I'd love to be able to sit down with you a little bit more and have this conversation, would be that my assumption is that your get is looking for something by an ID that isn't in the table. So even though it's saying, oh, you're looking for users and you're looking for these fields, you're not actually querying for a record that's going to give you a return. And that's kind of what Stu was saying, is even though it looks like you're starting with a user ID, it might not be a user ID you're asking to get with.
Okay.
But
Well,
we
I'll reach
wanna
out to
see
you outside of this then, and maybe you can look at it and see if you don't mind.
I would say the first thing to do would be to, in Success, take a screenshot of the node in debugger that is you saying, I'm trying to get users with this. Like one of the nodes, it's your get node.
Okay.
That debug block will tell us almost. I'm knocking on wood here. There's a good likelihood that the get is doing what you want it to do, but it's not taking the right variable or the right parameters to actually return a record. And we should see that right away in that node, I would think. And then we can go from there.
I'll look back at that and see if I can figure out anything. And if not, I'll put it on the MVP
Cool.
office hours.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. We had a good call today, friends.
Stu, you went on mute again. Did you want to add to that?
He's not mute. He's just pouting. What's wrong, Stu?
Couldn't give the direct answer, and I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
I think that debug logs or the flow logs is where you're going to find the answer. There's going to be something in there that you're going to see that's going to be aha.
Thank you, Stu. And my job here has always just been to stump you guys, so I'm fine with that.
Hey, we all learn when you stump us. It's great. I love it.
Melissa, one of the reasons that I started attending MVP office hours way back whenever I started doing this was because I wanted to make sure I was learning about stuff that I wasn't touching myself. Like finding out about like different corners of Salesforce that weren't part of my org's everyday stuff or part of projects I was working on. I wanted to like expand my really my reach of what was going on. And so anytime you stump anyone here, you're literally exposing all of us to like a challenge that's available and exciting.
And that's exactly why I come when I don't have questions.
Hey, Melissa.
Yes.
Speaking of stumping people, it's March 17th, St. Patty's Day. And also Midwest Dreamin' session speakers are open. I just gotta have to go to midweststreaming.com and or whatever the site is. I don't have it.
But you
But
know,
go to find and Katie's on the call. I see other people on the call. Todd's on the call. You need to put in some sessions for Midwest Dreaming.
you know I
and
would.
Stump me. I'll
Ooh,
come to
let's
your
do a
sessions.
panel of Stump the Stew.
Oh, I love that. My only
and
problem is
also-
that you guys scheduled it the week my son goes back to school, so I'm probably not going to be there.
No, that's not as important
makes
as
me very
Midwest Dreaming.
sad.
Also, Witness Success, the speaker calls for speaker
Yes.
Witness Success. Also a great thing to go to in
Solid.
Minnesota.
Agreed.
That probably one of the best things you can do ever is go
In
to Witness
Minnesota,
Success.
I think so.
At this
yeah.
point, I'll probably be only up there on Saturday or Sunday because I'm going to Lauren and Ben's wedding.
Ah,
Okay,
there you
call
go.
the speakers, please challenge me.
Also, if I'm gonna just piggyback on that, Stu, because if you're looking to speak at a larger event like Midwest Dreamin', like Dreamforce, like Connections, like TDX, I know that a lot of the community groups would be happy to have you talk, and really like kind of take a first run at it. The community groups are a great way to get started. If you've got a topic that you're passionate about, something that you were challenged with and you built a solution, we want to hear about it. And it's a smaller scale, smaller stage. And we're happy to give you feedback. I know Chicago has a call for speakers. I think I just pushed that out last week, but or this week. I don't know what day it is, you guys. It's St. Patrick's Day. But if you're interested in speaking, we'd love to hear what you have to say, instead of just answering questions here. I mean, that's what we're here for, but y'all know that. We're getting close to time. You got anything else?
I don't think I saw anybody else pop up. And unfortunately, I have a hard stop on the hour. So if anybody wants to keep rattling on, I can't help. I'm sorry.
Oh boy, I got work to do too, and I got college kids coming back from the beach, so I've got I've got stuff I go to.
Jealous, super jealous.
Hey, just be really jealous of my ironing board desk, okay? So
Yes.
my ironing board desk is where it's at. But the view has been fantastic, so I can't complain. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Squire, do you have anything else?
Just check and see if you got your API only licenses in your org and start thinking about how you're going to implement those. Don't do it right away though. There's some it's kind of
Tic-tac going on with that. They were in the-
but yeah, but check out the documentation and plan accordingly. So
All right, friends. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in April 21. So It's going to be about a month, April 21. We'll see you then.
Bye all. Stay
Until then,
awesome.
post in the community. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.